Town Council made the Civic Hall on the 25th of February. We'll move straight into the agenda. Item 1 is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. I have received apologies for absence from Councillor Stevenson, from Councillor Clegg, from Councillor Joyce Clark, from Councillor Kane, and not present is Councillor Christie.
Okay. We'll move on to item 2, declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of interest of anything on the agenda?
I'd like us to enjoy it, obviously, and the only reason I'm doing this is because obviously I have had dealings with the Horticultural Society before, and because I'm on the master plan steering group, the county council.
I'm on the steering groupy thing as well. So I was already up for the town council and I'm on the steering group.
So Chair, can I declare no pecuniary interest in this agenda item?
We move now on to item 3, Mayor's announcements. Since the last Town Council meeting, the appointments I've had is attended the staff and councillors catch-up on the 25th of January. On the 28th, I attended a photo shoot to the launch of the Kicks at the North Durham Academy. On the 29th, I attended tree planting ceremony with Stanley Rotary. On the 5th, I attended the strategic grant funding photo shoot with Beamish Sparks Football. On the 8th of February, I attended the Dick Whittington pantomime held here in the Civic Hall by Knoxville Youth Club. Fantastic night. On the 12th of February, I attended the Civic Hall to the Advice event that was on. On the 14th of February, I attended Spennymoor Town Hall. On the 16th, West Stanley Memorial, which was a really cold and windy day, and I think everybody will agree, those who were there. But it was lovely that the church rang the bells 168 times at the end, and they've asked if they can be involved in the future with the service and the chance of ringing the bells 168 times. I thought that was a lovely touch at the end of it, and I'd like to thank them very much for it, and thanks to everyone who attended. And on the 20th of February, I was at East Stanley, Acton Dean, doing a litter pick with Carbon Homes, McDonald's, our MP, and wardens and what have you. Good turnout, but once again, it only rained when we were litter picking, and as soon as we finished litter picking, the sun came out. So, but never mind, we've got it sorted. There's another thing I would like to mention. I don't know if everybody knows, but Alex is in hospital. He had his operation today. He's on ward 33 in Sunderland Royal, and he's fine. And I'm sure everybody would like to join and wish him all the best and a speedy recovery from everybody. Thank you. That's the end of my announcements.
Madam Mayor, just the usual announcements from me. Obviously, we are filming the meeting this evening, as a member of the public also filming. Is anyone else present filming the meeting this evening? No, could I just ask members to check that their phones are set aside and switched off so they don't get interrupted? Thank you. Oh, sorry, one final. Please, as it's full council, remember to wait until you've been recognised by the chair and to stand when you're addressing the meeting. Thank you.
Move straight on to item 4, the leader's statement. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, like there, I attended the West Stanley Memorial and rather windy day. I don't think it's ever been as windy over there Northern Memorial Day.
You've got your pilot's licence,
Got
didn't
my
you?
pilot's license. I was hanging on for dear life, and it is getting hot. we should always keep an eye on the people that lost their lives. The other couple of items I would like to note was Stanley held 2 bowls competitions, and they've both been well received from teams from all over the country. The first one was the Under 25 International Bowls British Isles Series on the 15th and 16th. Feedback I've had from various people is the competitors from all over the UK really enjoyed the event and saw Stanley. And then the following week, the Disability Bowls national competition was held, and the similar response from the competitors there. And I think that the bowl centre across the road does a lot to bring people into this area, and so positive. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Item 5 is public participation. No questions. Move straight on to item 6, confirmation of minutes, attachment A. Redland? Dawn?
Thanks, Chair. I just move that we approve the minutes, please.
Seconded?
Oh, you were, sorry, apologies. If I get it wrong, someone would soon say.
Can I just say, it's just one of those things. Like you're always.
And approval of the committee meetings, attachment B. Just receiving those. We'll move on to item 8, the strategic grant fund panel. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mayor. As the agenda says, the panel met on the 31st of January to review the policy and application process for the fund. A few changes have been put forward to move the application window so we've got the Christmas period. The revised policy has already been considered by the Finance and Purposes Committee at last week's meeting, and the recommendation of the committee is the Council approves the changes and implements the new policy.
Thanks, Mayor. Just like to agree with what the Finance and General Purposes Committee says and recommend the approve, please.
I'll second that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Seconded motion to approve the changes forward.
You've already approved it last week, so I don't see
Agreed.
why to look at this week.
Yeah, fine.
Number 9 is the request for discretionary community use support.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've, as members will have seen, because they're attached to their agenda, we've had 2 written requests for community uses of the hall. One from Standing Open Partnership, which is one request from Standing Open Partnership, one from North East Horticultural Society, which also is for more than one occasion, but it's 2 separate letters. Council is asked to look at these requests, decide whether or not to grant them, and actually consider if going forward we ought to have a policy developed to deal with these matters that are similar to this, rather than each instance coming onto a full council agenda. The recommendation that in respect of 9C, which is about future applications, not this one, is that actually the policy working group ought to be tasked with developing a policy to consider such applications, which can then be publicised through the council's website and implemented.
Council's asked to consider and decide what to do. Councillor Timby?
I would move that we accept both applications and consider that the policy should be developed and brought back to, obviously working with them back through the normal protocol. So I'm moving.
Number 7. Thank you.
Lucas and second on that. So that all great? Everyone happy with that?
Everybody happy with that?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, thank you. Move on to item 10, communications plan. Attachment I.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hopefully you've had an opportunity to look through the communications plan. It was something that I was tasked with developing to make sure that we are looking into the future, medium short term, beyond the short term, in terms of engaging with the public and publicising the events that and activities that we organise for the community, to make sure that there's maximum public awareness of what the council is doing for people and that they get access to dealt with. The plan is actually running for a calendar year, and obviously you can see my recommendations. What I'm suggesting is that we should drop this plan subject to any changes required, because I'm certain that you'll have seen something that I've missed when you've been scrutinising the plan, and then to extend it on, actually to run it through to the end of this financial year or the next civic year, so that actually it lines up with the civic year rather than and the financial year is better rather than being based on a calendar year. Well, we tend to think of events in terms of calendar years, which is probably why it's landed like that. So, as I said, my recommendation, subject to any changes that members want to see on it or any additions that members want to see on it, I would recommend that we adopt the plan, extend it, push it out, and then recirculate that to members on the same basis as this plan exists.
Councillor Marshall?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Can I just make a couple of comments before we move on to the recommendations, and I'm sure this will get agreed here. Just first of all to thank Alan and the team for the work they've done, because I think this starts to lay everything down in a really comprehensive way, and so we can start to plan ahead for how we're going to engage with the public. And I think that leads us to my first comment, which is around, for me, this shouldn't be a comms plan. It should be an engagement strategy for the council, and it needs some narrative around it, in my view, about the two-way conversation that we have with the public, whether that be via feedback received via the website, or through social media, or through engagement with members as well. So I welcome, not a massive amount of extra work, but certainly some statements that sort of precede the actual action plan, which is what I think we've got before us today, that lays down how as a council we'll do that in the many ways that the council engages with the public. So I think it's an engagement strategy, and we need to sort of build on the work that's been done to look at how we receive information as well as how we give it out. The second point I would like to make as part of this is to look at how we deal and communicate with the press. And I think there's a lot of the stories, and I'm not just talking about the big stories, Chair, I'm talking about some of the smaller stories that have a big impact in communities, and this is some of the work that you've really been at the forefront of as the Mayor over the past 12 months, visiting some of the groups who've benefited from funding, and actually the need to draft sort of information that can be circulated to our local press, such as the Northern Echo, the Evening Chronicle, and other people who are involved in communicating with the public, because I think some of those stories are really, really interesting and show the way that as a council we've enabled communities to support each other, and I think that's a real big part of the work the council's been doing, and some of that will only ever get to people via the written media. Not everybody has access to social media, so I'd just like to see some emphasis on the dialogue with the written press. So the work that we're doing there, if we're taking a photograph and we're doing some content for the internet, let's get a press release drafted along with that as well, and just get them fired out over a planned period as well. But I'm really happy with the work that's being done. Just like to make those few comments.
Okay.
Thanks.
Tom, did you want to come in?
Yeah, it's something that it's something I've had a little bit of involvement with. I just keep getting my name next to things as lead member and keep trying to get them off again for some of the history events and things. So it's something I've been involved with. It's something that it's there to be shaped. So if there's things that are left off, or there's things that people think should be done in a different way, then we need to be looking at them. But for the minute, I think it's like Carl says, it's how we're going to engage with people and how we're going to sell what we do, type of thing. So it's a good plan. I'm looking forward to seeing it, and it's a 17-month plan rather than a 12-month plan, if you know what I mean. See how it sort of extends into the next year. So just second the recommendation, please.
So if I could just recap, just so I make sure that I've got the right motion. What I believe Councillor Marshall has moved is that basically this what I call a comms plan becomes the activity action plan part of a community engagement strategy. There is an existing community engagement strategy, which what I will do is I will take that and I will tear it apart and put it back together with this attached as the action plan. Is this happy for that, Roo? And extend it into to the end of April next year. And then that will be represented to members for their comments. Obviously, it is a living document, and you know, as Councillor Marshall said, and I said at the start, there's probably things on here that I've forgotten. The idea of this is about forward planning and about planning your engagement with the public. If there are things on here that I've forgotten, please don't just sit and go, oh, I've missed that off. Please send me an email and say, do you know what, you missed this off, so that we can get it put into the plan and we can make sure that we're dealing with it properly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify a point, I mean, I don't think this needs to come back full council. I think you could probably run it by the policies team when you rehash the engagement bit of it. But I'm happy with the addition of the press releases into the plan for the stories that we know are coming up, and with the additional information of merging the engagement strategy to make one overarching engagement tool.
There's a second motion there. It's already been done. Is that agreed?
Everybody agree? Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Move on to item 11, and resident survey.
Right, okay. Hopefully members will have read the report and the attachments that I put around for this. I was tasked back end of last year, November last year, with looking into repeating the resident survey as we did it 4 years ago, so it's there for a refresh. I had a meeting with Career Communications to discuss the best way forward with this, and actually the conclusion that we came to was that repeating the questionnaire in a similar format with similar questions, which allowed you to actually directly spot trends, has some value to it. Obviously, you can come up with a completely different questionnaire, and you're still going to get to what residents are thinking about and what their views are. But if you're able to directly compare it, you know, for example, the questionnaire, you know, the questions from last time were, you know, tell us things that you like about the area, tell us things that you don't like, and what could we do to improve them. Well, actually, you get to see a direction of travel if they're telling you about different things, or things that were their top priority last year are no longer their top priority, or if they still are, that tells you something as well. So that was the reasons that the Career Communications and myself put that forward as a suggestion. I've also put together a proposed methodology. Now, really, this attachment K is really a starting point for discussion. It's by no means is it the finished product, but because, you know, obviously, if you want to do it, we need to think about how we're going to go about it, what methods we're going to use to capture information and engage with people, and how we're going to put it together, and what the timelines will look like. So I put this down as a proposal for members to obviously build on and build out and decide if they like it or not, and discuss. So with that, I'll hand on to over to you, Chairman.
Councillor Tipping.
I understand where you're coming from, Alan. What I'll propose is slightly different to what there is. I would propose that a small committee of members is set up as a task and finish group, which would be, you know, already spoke to the independents, which would be 2 Labour members and 1 independent. To agree the various questions in that survey, and how to collect and how to collate them, and that task and finish group is set up to do that and then bring that back.
Yeah, I think for me this is quite narrow. It's focused in on one bit, which is a much larger piece of work. So I think Les's suggestion is a sensible one. I'd like to obviously be involved in that group if I can from our side. And I think it's about before we start asking questions, let's get a picture of how and where we're going with it all, to get an overarching strategy for what we're trying to find out, how we're going to engage. And that needs to include some of the things that we picked up on before, but social media, digital collection, how we're actually going to go out and engage with groups, how we can engage with some of the things that have been suggested in your paper here with the groups that we've funded or we've supported as well, because I think this is an opportunity now. We're in a much different place to where we were last time. This council's got an overarching strategy, we've got a clear direction of travel, we've supported a lot of groups to support our communities. So I think we need to be using our partners with the Advice Partnership, with Pact House, with all the groups we've funded, to try and get the opinions and views of some of their users. I think we've got a real opportunity to build on the numbers that we got at the last consultation that we did. And I think Stanley has changed. There has been investment in Stanley since then, and we'll come on to the Master Plan Steering Group next. But I think there's an opportunity here to knit in some of the work that's going to be going on, and for the Town Council to collect some information to feed it into that process as well. But I just think we just need to spend a bit of time reflecting and getting the overarching strategy for this right. So I'd second Les's motion.
Come back in.
And from the Labour side, I would propose Councillor Carl Marshall and Councillor Mark Davison to be the Labour representatives, and that's task and finish group.
So just to recap, the motion that's been put forward by Councillor Timby and seconded is to create a task and finish panel to discuss the methodology of the resident survey in more detail. And Councillor Timby has nominated 2 Labour councillors and has requested for an independent councillor to participate in that process.
Councillor Nicholson?
I have spoken to Les today, and by Friday they'll have the name.
Did you go to vote? Was that agreed?
Does everybody agree on that? Yeah. Everybody's happy. Move on to item 12, which is the staff master plan.
Thank you, Chair. Members will have had an opportunity to read the Stanley Master Plan brief. The Stanley Master Plan Steering Group, which is a lot of words, had its first meeting back in January and has now scheduled meetings throughout the year, elected a chair, and has gone through a brief and agreement which has been circulated for you. The County Council has written to myself and estimated that the costs to produce this plan is going to be in the region of £120,000, and they are therefore requesting that the Town Council, the key stakeholder, make a financial contribution to this. So that's obviously what's on the agenda, and I'm hoping that Councillor Marshall, who's involved with that, will say a few words, or not.
So I mean, the County Council's written in, this was on the back of the Town Council writing in to the county to ask them to instigate this process. And if you can remember, the work that we've asked for in terms of reference to be included in the papers is quite broad. So it's looking at the whole of the Stanley Town Council area and regeneration opportunities across the board. So it's going to be a significant piece of work, and it's important that we get it right, and it's important that we get the right expertise around the table to support those in producing it. The first meeting of the Master Plan Steering Group was in January. There was a good turnout. I think there was some really positive comments about the process and about what the proposals were. So I think it's an important piece of work for Stanley, because despite the fact that I alluded to there has been some investment in things in the town, there's still a lot of work to do to get Stanley to, as an area and as a community to a place where we can all be proud of once again. So I think the proposal there is a fair one, that we allocate, that we support this. I think what's the fund request, £35,000 to an overall budget of 120, so the county council's putting the lion's share of that in. And you know, we've got a ring fence opportunities reserve, and we've also got a revenue budget for this, so there's a number of places we can choose to take that resource from. But I think it's important for the town council to be part of this process, and we seem to be leading this process going forward, so with that becomes a responsibility of contributing financially as well, Chair.
Anyone else got any thoughts? Is everybody in favour?
Need a motion?
Need a motion. Oh, Mark?
On the chest, anyway. Thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to just say that I think that we're, as a town council, we should get a lot more than £35,000 out of this by the time, because we're going to be involved and we're going to be steering it to make sure that we get things delivered out of this plan. So I think that all of our community should be getting a lot more than what we're putting in at the end of the day. So I'd like to move that we put the £35,000 into the scheme, please.
The bidding was there first. Can I just, sorry, before we put this to a vote or approve the motion, can I just clarify in terms of the funding commitment? Councillor Marshall mentioned we do have a revenue budget in next year's budget allocation of about £10,000, which obviously will be part of this requirement. The remaining part, which isn't funded from that revenue budget, will come from the opportunities or capital earmarked reserves budget. Is that?
Yeah, that's the way I saw it.
Yeah, just so we've got that clear for the.
So is everybody in agreement? Those in favour? Anybody against? Any abstentions? So everybody's in agreement, right? Everybody's in agreement. Move on to item 13, council actions update.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll try and do as quick as I can. The Road Safety Advisor hasn't moved. Standing Fund meeting is on Monday, 6 p.m. here to discuss that. The done actions have been done. We're just done there because they'll come off next month. The comms plan was on the agenda. We've got a steer on that from Council. Thank you for that. Contracts have been appointed for the refurb work. I think it's 16th of March, but it'll be certainly next month. Local Council Award Scheme, that still needs to be taped off, but it will be done certainly before the end of March. The IT and telephones, we've had all kinds of issues with the telephones. We think that the telephones are resolved, sorted. Obviously members have had a few issues with the Wi-Fi. That's not the actual broadband connection, that is the routers, the access points. And Alan Tubman has got contractors coming in this week to fix that. So we are aware it's a problem, and we are taking steps to deal with it. Comms strategy, comms plan again was on this agenda. Southmore banner, discussions are ongoing. And the Louisa Morrison Memorial, we have set a date for an event for that to be official launch. There will be more details coming this week to members, so we'll put something out about that one. So that's happening soon. If there's any questions.
Anyone got any questions? No?
Move we accept the report.
Thank you. Move on to item 14, exclusion of press and public.
Can I move an exclusion of the press and public, please?
You can.
Madam Mayor. Sorry, Chair.
Second.
That's all right.
So the reason for excluding the public is, actually on the agenda it says commercial sensitivity, that's not true. The reason is because we're discussing confidential staffing matters, so